He stood at the edge of the forest for a long time. Long enough for the cold to settle into his bones. Long enough for every warning his mother had ever given him to rise up inside his chest and beg him to turn back. But the voice was still there, faint, behind his eyes, like a word spoken in a room just after you enter it. Come and see. His father's voice. 12 years silent. Now calling. Chitty took one breath, then another. And then he stepped past the tree line, and the forest took him in. Nothing happened at first. That was the strangest part. No wind, no sound, not even the crunch of dry leaves beneath his feet, though he could see them scattered across the ground. Chitty moved slowly, arms slightly raised, like a man walking through water. The air felt different here, thick and heavy, the way the air inside a sealed room feels after many years of quiet. Every few steps he stopped and listened. Nothing answered, but the feeling never left him. The feeling that every tree he passed had turned, just slightly, to watch him walk by. The deeper he went, the quieter the forest became. Not the quiet of emptiness, the quiet of things that have stopped whatever they were doing and are now paying attention. His own footsteps began to bother him. Each one sounded too sharp, too loud against the stillness, like a mistake being made over and over. He tried to step more softly. It did not help. And then he noticed something else. The trees were getting closer together. The path, if it could even be called that, was narrowing, pressing inward, as if the forest itself was guiding him somewhere specific. Then the drum started. Chitty froze. His whole body went tight, the way a rope goes tight just before it snaps. The drums were not distant this time. Not far away behind layers of trees and dark. They were close. So close he could feel the beat move through the soles of his feet and up into his chest. A slow, heavy rhythm, not frantic, not wild, just steady and patient and certain, like a heartbeat that had been going since before he was born. He turned slowly, trying to find the direction, and then he saw the glow. He pushed through the last of the trees and stepped into a clearing, and what he saw made him stop dead. Before him, lit by a massive fire in the center, stood dozens of figures in a perfect circle. Not scattered, not random, a perfect, deliberate ring, each figure placed at an equal distance from the next, as if carefully measured. None were moving. They stood with their backs to him, all facing the fire, still as carved wood. But their stillness was not peace. It was readiness. Every single one of them, waiting for something to begin. Their bodies were covered in gray ash, thick and pale from head to foot, as though the forest had been claiming them slowly over many years. Their limbs moved stiffly, bending only at the joints, like wood that had long forgotten how to be flesh. And their eyes, even from the clearing's edge, Chitty could see them clearly. Each one glowed. A faint amber color, like dying embers refusing to go out. These were the banished souls of Akoro. But they were not lost, not wandering. They were organized and moving with one shared, deliberate, terrible purpose. Then Chitty saw what lay at the center, and the sight drove the air straight from his lungs. Directly before the fire, surrounded by the circling figures, was a living person, a man, tied at the wrists and ankles with thick gray rope, lying flat on the dark earth, completely unable to move. His eyes were open and wild, stretched wide with a terror so total it had gone silent. His chest moved in short, rapid bursts. He was fully awake. He could see everything happening around him, and yet he could not make a single sound. The circle of figures began to move. Slowly at first, one careful step at a time, until they had settled into that same haunting rhythm Chitty had seen from outside the village. And then they began to chant, low, deep, in unison, as if breathing out one long, shared breath. It was not the sound of anger, not madness, not grief. It was something far worse than any of those. It was purpose, controlled, patient, ancient, the kind of sound made by those who know exactly what they are doing and have been doing it for a very long time. As the chanting rose, so did the fire. Chitty watched it climb, higher and higher, far too high for a natural flame, as if the sound was feeding it directly. The earth beneath him gave a soft, low shudder, the way the ground trembles under heavy things moving deep below. And then he saw the ash on the figures' bodies begin to change. It shifted, moved. Not the way wind moves dust. This was slower, more intentional, like something alive inside it waking up, stretching, becoming aware. The gray coating on each figure rippled, as if breathing, as if preparing. Then the ash left the figures. Not all at once. In thin, slow streams, like smoke moving against the wind. It crept low across the ground toward the man in the center, flowing around pebbles and roots, as if it knew the path by heart. The man saw it coming. His eyes tracked every inch. His body shook violently against the ropes. His mouth was wide open. Chitty could see that clearly from where he hid, but not a single sound escaped. Not a gasp, not a cry. The ash reached him, and it began, slowly, to climb his skin. The realization hit Chitty like cold water thrown in the dark. This was not a sacrifice. He had thought, hoped, even, that what he was seeing was some kind of offering. Something done, then finished. But it was not. The ash was not destroying the man. It was remaking him, covering him the same way the banished souls were covered, filling him with the same stillness, the same absence. He was being turned, slowly, painfully, into one of them, into a banished soul himself. Not killed, not freed, converted. And Chitty understood then why the village kept losing people. He should have run then. He had every reason to, but before his legs could obey his mind, something changed inside the circle. One of the figures stopped dancing, just stopped, in the middle of the rhythm like a word cut short. The others continued around it, as if nothing had changed. But this one turned, slowly, not toward the man in the center, toward the trees, toward Chitty. It began to walk, each step stiff and careful, heel and toe, like a body relearning how to move through the world, coming directly to where Chitty crouched, hidden and terrified. It stopped just inches from him, close enough for Chitty to see every detail of what the forest had made it into. The face was covered in thick, cracked ash, dried and gray, split into 100 tiny lines like an old riverbed in the heat of dry season. The eyes glowed amber. The lips did not move, but he could feel something radiating from the figure. Not heat, not cold. A kind of pressure, like being looked at by something that still remembered what it once was. Chitty stared, and beneath the cracks, beneath the gray, he saw something that made his stomach turn. He knew that face, the shape of the jaw, the wide-set eyes. Even through the gray, even through the ruin, he knew it. Before he could speak, before he could even form the question rising fast in his throat, the figure opened its mouth. The sound that came out was barely a voice at all, more like breath pressed through something broken. "We were sent here," it whispered, "but we were never meant to stay." And then it reached out. One cracked, gray hand, trembling, pressed against Chitty's chest. And the world disappeared, replaced by something far worse. Memory. In the visions, Chitty saw everything. People dragged screaming into the forest. Elders watching from the tree line, silent, faces calm. Knowing, not enforcing tradition. Feeding something. Something beneath the ground. Something old, that lived on grief and guilt. And then the final truth struck him, clear and cold. The ritual was not made by the banished. It had been taught to them by something far older. Something living beneath this forest long before the village was ever built. The drums cut off. The fire collapsed instantly. And every spirit in the clearing turned and stared directly at Chitty. Thanks for watching Tales by Arlise. Please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment below if you love this story and wants to see the next part.